Okay. Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining today's Arborist call on October 30th. Today's agenda, we have core stack updates from the Zcash Foundation, the Electric Coin Company, Zingo Labs, and Zcash deprecation. We'll have a research and implementation updates. I don't think we have Kedit at this later call time. And then we'll have Shielded Labs to touch on network sustainability mechanism and Crosslink. And then, and then an open announcements and discussion section at the end. What are Arborist calls? Arborist calls are biweekly calls where Zcash protocol contributors convene to discuss upgrade timelines and process, protocol R&D efforts, design and implementation of new protocol features, and to identify blockers and unresolved issues. The purpose of these calls are to make core Zcash development accessible for a wider set of participants and provide more transparency for the community at large. Anyone interested in learning about the Zcash protocol development can register at zcasharborist.org. And if you would like to suggest a topic for discussion or present an in-depth agenda item relevant to the Zcash protocol, please email arboristcall@zfnd.org to request a slot. Other ways you can get involved in the ecosystem are to check out Zcash community grants at zcashcommunitygrants.org. Jump in the Zcash R&D Discord, or take a look at the Zcash Community Forum. And you can find all of these links by pointing your browser at zcasharborist.org. And we'll get started with the first core stack update from the Zcash Foundation.
Thank you, Dan. So since the last Arborist call in Zebra, we have tagged and published a release candidate for deploying NU 6.1. It also deploys the fix for the performance regression in Zebra's initial sync. So it now syncs in about 8 hours rather than 24. We fixed some build issues that were on main and added the assembly code to script outputs in the get raw transaction and get block RPCs. We also merged a couple PRs related to refactoring the state service traits and other service traits. And we're currently working in PRs on improving the error types. Lately, we've also merged some PRs related to improving error types in Zebra state service. We're currently working on fixing the error types for commit checkpoint verified and commit semantically verified requests, if anyone's familiar with those. And I think that's mostly it. We also there's a PR open for using RocksDB from the system rather than always building it when compiling Zebra, which should speed up build times.
Great, thank you, Arya. Any questions for Arya? Okay, we will jump forward to ECC updates. I think we have Strad in here.
Yep. So as people may be aware, there has been price action in the Zcash ecosystem. With price action comes users, and with users comes bugs. So we have been spending a fair bit of time the last couple of weeks on bug reported, addressing the underlying causes of bugs. Obviously, the bugs are coming in through Zashi users, but a fair few of them result in changes that need to happen to Zcash Client SQLite, the other core Rust crates under the hood, the stuff that also is powering Zalays. So all bug reports are good, and resolving them is good for the entire stack. But oh boy, this has been a fertile time for discovering things. So more specifically, there's been various bug fixes around mempool detection, which was landed in Zashi at the end of September, beginning of October, around then. And that's thrown up a bunch of things that we've discovered about how the back-end Rust crates were doing state management in that case, because prior to that, it was only ever detecting via blockchain scanning. So there's been various fixes we've made from that perspective. There's also been fixes related to confirmation changes and the confirmation reduction handling that we had deployed at the end of September, beginning of October. There's also been a little bit more progress getting through. So the send max functionality is I think through to the SDK layer on the Swift side. I don't recall about the Android side yet. But this is just additional functionality for being able to like sweep a wallet or be able to spend everything that is currently available, which relies on a bunch of data that the backend has. We've also merged support for what we're terming in the SDK layer. What are they? Single one-time address. I forget the exact term. Basically, it's powered by ephemeral addresses, ephemeral transparent addresses, and the intended use case there is for things where you are not giving out an address to a user directly, but you're using it in some other thing like in swaps. So for refund addresses within those, they're the same addresses that are currently being used as the intermediate address in a zip320 text address transaction if you do one of those in Zashi. So there's been a bunch of additional logic that has to happen there to make that all work, and we're in the bug fixing stage for finding and fixing for that at the moment. But hopefully that will be out in the not too distant future in the SDKs. There's been some work on Zale in the last week, looking to get the second alpha release out in the next day or so, which will include a bunch of those bug fixes as well as some initial user feedback reports, and sort of preparing the base further for additional improvements and API implementations and things. Also very, very fun. The next release will have reproducible builds, thanks to Anton from Stage X, who has been figuring out how to do that over the last month and making various PRs and places to fix build determinism problems here and there. So that will mean that there'll probably be some things we'll have to figure out and adjust as we go on through the alpha phase, but very likely this means that we'll be in a position where Zale can offer reproducible builds in the same way that we do for Zcash releases. So anyone who's relying on that for their wallets will be able to continue with that in Zale. And yeah, there's more work being done in related areas than that, but I think that's probably everything that covers under this particular update stack. But it's like we can talk about other bits later.
Great, thank you, Strad. Any questions or comments? All right. Next up, Zynga Labs, and I think that's Za.
Hey, we are cracking along at upgrading to supporting Zale with the chain index interface. In the course of doing that, we have realized that we need to migrate a bunch of the existing code to a more trait-based generic pattern to eliminate a bunch of non-dry code and a bunch of repetitiveness. So we also are upgrading our test infrastructure so that we can have a validation to that we are properly handling chain forks in the chain index before we merge that code. And we need to upgrade to Zebra 3.0 to use some of their new offerings from their service traits in order to finish that. We have made significant progress on the chain index integration, so I think you can look forward to that landing certainly before the next Arborist call, probably early next week. Top priority after those things land are adding transparent data to compact blocks to reduce leakage of which transparent transactions are of interest to Zyno-D. And there's always one other thing that I'm forgetting that I will remember shortly. The blockchain, the block explorer RPCs. We anticipate having those finished up. We have 4 in review, and all except one of them probably will land this week. And that's it for us.
Okay, thank you, Za. Any questions? Check the chat. Okay, and we'll jump forward again.
I just remembered one other thing I wanted to mention on the core team side that Chris has been working on, who couldn't be here at this meeting. Account deletion in the wallet backend. So what that functionally means for users is if you want to be able to unregister a Keystone device. Currently, you have to reset yours actually from scratch because we don't have the ability to remove an account. Chris has been working on that this week. So with any luck, that will be in the next set of Rust crates, and then that will enable in future weeks to be able to, in future to be able to add that functionality into Zashi.
Awesome, thank you, Strad. Next up, Zcash dedeprecation. This is Paku.
Hello, everyone. Well, a lot of was already covered. So in terms of Zcash dedeprecation, we are at the point of start looking at deprecating the roadmap to deprecate LightWallet as well. Although LightWallet is getting one of its last features, I hope, which is the transparent data addition to the compact block processor or the other client protocol to improve how transparent transactions are, or how wallets ask for transparent stuff in a more or in a less identifiable way, or that in a way that the server learns at least as possible from those calls. And that's going to be built into Zano as well. And we're working towards code completion of LightWallet features on Zano as well, so we can deprecate LightWallet when its time comes. Sorry. Then we have almost completed RPCs for block explorer support in Zano. So we are in a good shape. There are 1 or 2 RPCs I think are still in the queue, but they are not showstoppers in terms of starting to integrate Nighthawk block explorer with Zebra and Zano. And then with all this good news, there's a sour kind of news that it is kind of what Strad talked about a little bit ago. We have been really happy to receive all this love from users and price action and all the attention and all the celebration that it comes with, but it also comes with a lot of things that ECC folks had to attend, and also the rest of the teams, and we have been impacted a little bit in terms of our timeline for Zcash deprecation. Not for highly, we're not sleeping end of year for too much, but I don't think we can call it Zcash retirement phase until the first months of 2026, given how we had to handle all of our stuff, and Zcash deprecation work had to be slightly deprioritized to attend urgent production things. So that's kind of the sour note that comes with every joy in life, to put it in a way. But we're still we're managing this and trying to move things around how we're currently working to reduce this impact on the teams and try to keep collaborating and keep progressing. So yeah, that's the sour note of the day, sorry. But we're still progressing. We are currently looking towards building a board for things that are good to go and open to collaboration. So anyone who wants to take on, for example, RPC development on Zale, we are starting to put ready work items in the board that you can find on Zale's repo. And in that way, like different team members from the teams that can form the C3 effort will start to pick those up as well, so we can catch up to this timeline impact we have with the latest awesome developments that we have on the Zcash community. So that's the news.
Thanks, Paku. Derema?
Yeah, I just wanted to talk briefly about the transparent information in blocks. It's a privacy improvement, and it's also a huge sort of simplification, because at the moment, Zcash, for example, is incurring a lot of complexity in trying to preserve privacy without having the transparent information in blocks. And so a lot of that complexity, after we can rely on connecting to a light wallet server that supports this, can potentially go away, and also we'll get better privacy, because there are some things that we just can't paper over.
Yeah, thank you there, Emma. Yeah, and you remembered me something, that is that we will originally the compact block model, or how zip through 07, which is the like client protocol, stipulated it, like everything started in the sapling activation, and so all the assumptions for like Waldy development, which was at the time the only implementation, like everything kind of started like that. There was a pseudogenesis where everything started at the block for 19200, and now with the transparent data addition, we are starting to index all the transparent data from Genesis block, and this will allow people that held like transparent Zec since the beginning of times to be able to import their wallets into modern shielded wallets. And if they are like clients, for example, the Sashi, Zingo, or Y Wallet, they will use this like Waldy that will be able to get their information and handle their transparent Zec more efficiently. And it was a use case that was not maybe well covered in this current version that is productive of the like client protocol, but it will be very good, well covered in this next edition of the transparent data, which will help, for example, to shielded Zec support on Ledger. That's going to be a huge use case for this kind of data addition. But it means that like Waldy, for example, will take a little bit longer to sync, because the cache will have a lot more data to index. So any operators of like Waldy infrastructure should take that into consideration when we deploy this. But ECC always makes awesome change logs. So if you read, we live in an era where people don't read things, myself included sometimes. So, but if you're watching this YouTube video, just be aware.
Thanks, Paku.
I think I'm reading more now than at any time in my life.
Oh yeah, code and protocols.
Okay, any other comments, questions on Zcash deprecation?
Nope.
Okay, cool. Thank you all. And next up, we don't have anybody from Keta here, but I guess I'll throw it out. Would anybody like to bring anything up on ZSAs? Nate?
CSAs are awesome, and I can't wait to for them to be activated.
Okay, I've been hearing, the scuttlebutt in different like signal groups. Some people are interested in potentially trying to find ways to bridge Bitcoin into ZSAs. So I want to get them in touch with Kedit. So it's the wrong time slot for Kedit, but I'm going to reach out to them. And if anyone else is excited by that kind of project, let me know or talk to Kedit.
Thanks, Nate. Alfredo?
Yeah, I do know that work is starting on extending PCZTs to support CSAs. Okay.
Alfredo?
Yeah, so Vivek was in the Zcash deprecation meeting today, and we briefly talked about CSA. And I seen the review in the Orchard CSA has been postponed by the ECC for the last bug fixings that they were working on. And as far as I know, they're going to be working on that kind of next week or so. So yeah, they're pretty interested on trying to get that in as it's the base of other changes.
I'm certainly hoping to start on it very, very soon.
Say again?
I'm hoping to start on it very, very soon.
Right. Yeah. So Chris mentioned that you guys were to start soon on that.
Yep.
Cool. Thank you, Dara. Any other thoughts, questions, comments on ZSAs? Okay, we'll jump ahead. Shielded Labs for NSM.
Hey, most recent update is that the zip 233 PR has been updated and rebased. It passes all CI checks and tests, and it's just waiting to be merged. And if you look at this PR here, it looks like
sorry, it was on my plate to review that, and I haven't been able to get around to it
okay.
before now. Sorry about that.
Thank you.
Anything else on NSM? Questions? All right. Next up, Crosslink.
Yes, hello. Oh, Dara, your hand's up, by the way. Okay, so for Crosslink, so the first thing that's sort of out there is it seems like there's an influx of a lot of conversation about Zcash on X, and with new account or old accounts who haven't talked about Zcash in the past very much talking about it, and part of that includes a notable contingent of proof of work proponents, or also proponents saying maybe we should just postpone Crosslink because everything seems to be going well. But so we're aware of that, and but we still have kind of the same plan, which is to finalize our prototype so it's a full stack working implementation, and then make sure it's well specified. And then after that, we intend to do different kinds of assessment of competence in deploying it. And if we see that competence, then we'll go through a rigorous process of rewriting production code, hardening the design, and so forth. So we just wanted to make it clear that that's that sort of process, because some of the comments don't seem to be aware of the timeline or decision process. So we wanted to share
that's tricky for you. Yeah. That's do they have concrete arguments against or in favor of proof of work over proof of stake, or is it just vibes?
I mean, I haven't noticed any. I have seen some people talking about how it's better for security, but it's Twitter level of superficial. Like, what does that mean? Nothing tangible there. The one that seems more tangible strategy to me is like other things should be prioritized. So one example is fixing the fee system in case there's a big influx of users and blocks start getting full. So just as an aside, not part of Crosslink, but in Shielded Labs, we have Mark who's started focusing on that a lot more. So I kind of agree with that being a more time sensitive thing potentially. Yeah, so I haven't yet seen strong arguments, but to be fair, our prototype, the documentation, which is in my ball court, is sparse. Aside from the upstream documentation that's well written for the Crosslink 2 construction, and then our prototype is a prototype where we've cut a lot of corners and stuff. So I imagine if newcomers see that, they might not realize that more thought has gone into it. So that could be part of it. Anyway, that's that. But we're plowing ahead. So we completed our milestone 4A, and as a reminder, 4A was basically a redo of milestone 3, but just trying to fix some bugs and make it much more usable. And so it's basically a repeat workshop, but it went way better. Like most of the attendees were able to get on the roster. It didn't have a bug that the last workshop had, where every node would crash when syncing, like every 30 seconds or whatever. So there's no outward facing feature change, but there's a big, aside from some visualizer improvements, but there was a big internal change where we pivoted away from Malachite, which is a BFT, like a Tendermint implementation in Rust. And it's a big framework. We pivoted away to our own in-house BFT implementation because our engineers thought it would be, we could make it tailored to fit, and that would have a lot of advantages. It would end up being a simpler overall system. And they sort of proved that that's a viable approach so far because our new implementation has been running, like the current testnet's been up for 8 days. There's no crashes. So that's not to say it's guaranteed to be bug-free or secure, but it's a good sign that that strategy is working for our prototype. And then upcoming, we're working on our... Oh yeah.
Sorry, I'll let you carry on and raise my hand.
Okay. Yeah, I'll bring it up after the rest of the update. So the next update is we're working on the next milestone, which is called 4B. And the functional change for that is to switch the 4A workshop has a hacky way to put things on the roster that, and right now for B, what we're working on is putting actual fields into transactions to do delegations. And we're in the midst of doing that with a few expedients. So for example, one thing is those, we have the visualizer can generate the transactions with no fees. And that way we don't need a wallet. But that also means we're still using fake units, not real test Zec for the weight. So the next chunk before the workshop, hopefully, is to hook up like a full real wallet stack, the Zcash dev tool. And then that will be the first iteration of actual proof of stake, but it still will lack some of the like privacy and safety features we have written up in our recent blog post. But we're excited for that. And the goal for that one is a week after Thanksgiving, American Thanksgiving, which I think means it's like the first week of December, maybe, but I'm bad with dates. And now I think that's it for our update. So, Jara.
Okay. Yeah. Two questions.
Yeah.
So first of all, the new BFT implementation, that's still an implementation of Tendermint. Is that right?
I believe so. Yeah. It's still using a stake-weighted roster and requiring greater than 2/3 weight of votes.
Okay, there are lots of details of the BFT protocol that besides that, I'll have a look. Can you post a link to the implementation on the chat?
Yes.
So the other thing was why Zcash Dev tool rather than go straight to Zale, for example?
Oh, that was our guess as to the easiest code base to just modify to issue the things. But we probably could use advice because we want the quickest path that's also relatively usable for workshop participants. So there's sort of a
I'm thinking about that. I'm thinking probably Zale, but yeah.
Okay.
We'll
check it out.
It's not a particularly strong opinion, but I would think that kind of you're taking a shortcut there because you're not going to want to use Zcash Dev tool in the long term, whereas Zale is a perfectly acceptable thing to use in the long term.
Okay. Good to know.
Jason?
Are there any other updates? Yeah, Jason.
The thing I wanted to say is it would be helpful if everybody on this call could review our blog post that we posted earlier this week on cross-link staking design and publicly, let us know your feedback regardless of whether you support or oppose it. It'd be great to hear your opinions. And then also to add to what Nate said, some of the talk I've seen on Twitter from people who oppose Crosslink, the reason that I've seen is that it somehow conflicts with this new narrative of Zcash as encrypted Bitcoin, since Bitcoin is proof of work. And then, like Nate said, we've also heard that it's less of a priority than Tachyon or dynamic fees, which, it's important to point out they can happen in parallel with Crosslink. They don't actually conflict with it.
Yeah, I was going to. So, are you intending to have, say, an external audit of the economics?
Yes, but we were imagining doing those kinds of things after the prototype phase. So the sort of roadmap is wrap up the prototype phase by mid Q1 next year. Sort of assess what the community confidence, and assuming there is, we proceed. And then the rest of the year is hardening. So I would want the actually at that point it may be the right timing to have somebody look at like the game theoretic economic stuff. But I would want for us to do like a design and implementation pass probably before paying for like auditors for the whole thing. If that makes sense. Because the prototype code and design is really just sort of like, there's no guarantee it's correct. It's just trying to show, it's like a sketch almost, like each functional part, there's some code there that's doing the right thing so that, not the right thing, but something, the approximate thing so that a testnet can stand up and people can interact with it. So the user flows should be approximately realistic.
I guess what I was concerned about, I think Josh and the people in ECC are slightly concerned that the decisions about the economics aren't solidified too early before they've had chance to get external review. And I'm glad to see that that Crosslink tokenomics post. I think there's 2 posts there that I will look at now because I haven't got a chance to see those before.
So I would say the sort of the life cycle or timeline is right now, the blog post is high level sort of approximation of the design we're working towards. So it's the perfect time to be getting feedback, like, issuance should be different, or fee, like if there are fees or delegation, those things, anything about proof of stake tokens, token distributions or whatever. Now is the easy time to incorporate feedback and tweak the prototype. Although there's always a balancing act between just making the prototype work versus pivoting the design too much. Like if somebody shows up and saying it should be drastically different, that might slow down our prototyping phase if we wanted to do that. So, but anyway, we get that feedback, decide how to handle it, definitely document or note all the feedback, and then that's going to be before we're going to sort of start looking into things like I don't know, like microeconomics or game theoretic or econo security, whatever design review that will come later. But we want to do both. Okay. I'm not sure how clear that is. If you're interested, give us feedback right away. And yeah.
Yeah. I don't feel as though because I've been so busy, I don't feel as though I have good enough grasp with the current design to comment, but I will do.
Okay.
Alfredo.
Yeah, I have a quick question. I'm assuming that all the Crosslink project will need to be specified in the form of zips. So I was wondering if there is a milestone for that, and when it will be a good timing to start thinking on that.
Yeah, we want to begin writing like a zip and starting the zip process around the same time that the prototype is. So probably the beginning of next year, maybe. So yeah, that's the timing there, I think. Or ideally, we would start earlier to get feedback and zip review earlier, but yeah.
Yeah, I'd encourage you to start as early as possible, but obviously that's subject to your bandwidth.
Yeah, so I think it will bring more confidence if we go through the process, find all the details, and then, yeah, I guess as far as I know, you have some code to be merged into Zebra, but without being specified, I don't think we can do that.
Oh yeah, yeah. Just to clarify, we maintain a pull request against upstream, but it's not a request to merge at all. It's sort of so we can look and at a glance figure out, okay, how far are we from Zebra to sort of gauge the complexity.
Yeah.
Yeah, Zcash has always kind of there is some feedback between implementations and specifications, but the specification leads most of the time. And I think that has been very important to maintain specification quality and to head off potential bugs, because yeah, we really are specifying all of the detail to implement the protocol. We don't do specification by implementation. Well, we do in the Bitcoin inherited parts of the protocol, but that's a bug.
Right. Yeah, so this idea of like making a prototype is a little bit different from that. But so I guess my request would be for people to give us enough scrutiny of the specification that everyone can gain confidence that it's good. And don't hesitate to say it's not good enough to us, and we won't. Yeah, we won't take it personally. We'll just try to make it better.
if anything, I'm so worried that I might not be as kind of hard on you as I should be, because it's partly my design. But I will try
Oh yeah,
to compensate for
conflict of
that
interest.
and be really hard on you.
Awesome.
Cool. Thank you, Nate. Any other questions, comments? Looks like nothing in the chat. Okay. Next up, open announcements section. Any open announcements from the panel? Going once and twice. All right. Next, open discussion. Would anybody like to bring anything up?
Please review the quantum recoverability draft. Yeah, I've been saying for a long time that I wanted to get that into a draft zip. It's now there. It's ready for review. I don't know whether anyone on this call is sort of familiar with the details of analyzing protocols for post-quantum security. But if you know people who are, or if you are, then please look at it.
Thank you, Dara. Any other topics, questions, thoughts? Alfredo.
Yeah, I have a question probably for Strad. And Dara Emma maybe as well, because yeah, so I was struggling with some tests that I was wondering if Salad could have, or if there is any plan to have some sort of status report, like an RPC method to say up to what point is synced up and if it is ready to receive request. Right now, you don't have anything apart from the logs to check what height Salad it is. So I was wondering if,
Yeah, so this
yeah.
is the thing where in Zcash D we added like ridge test only logic to be like, yeah, this is synced up to this particular like synchronization number or whatever it was. Yeah, we just had an atomic that we incremented carefully to synchronize the bits that could get out of hand. So is that sort of the bit that you're running into here?
Okay, can you send me a link to that? So
Well, okay.
maybe.
So what I'm asking, is that the problem you're running into?
So the problem is that kind of Salad need at least one block in the state, and sometimes that block is not there, so you don't have a way to figure out if everything was populated or not, especially because there is Sano in the middle as well. So Zebra generates a block, but it takes a little bit
Okay,
to be
so
there.
so you're actually talking about the startup phase.
It could be the
referring
startup,
to
or it could be
run.
also that you generate a block in the middle, and it takes a little bit for Salad to actually catch up with the sync, and you don't have a way to know that besides to know that you are behind.
So we had a mechanism for that for the Zcash D internal wallet. I forget how it actually.
So that's the thing I was referencing, Darema, which is so currently the way that Zcash does this, because we didn't originally need this, but it was when we decoupled the wallet from the main thread to stop the remote key extraction bug. What we added, we then ran into this synchronization problem. So that's where you'll see the like sync with wallet and sync with mempools and things calls in the RPC tests. The way that currently is done is that get blockchain info in Zcash D has a ridge test only fully notified.
Okay, yeah, I see what you mean.
API, like a field, and I forget exactly. I need to go back and look. Yeah, so that has a uh,
Yeah,
there's
which
a
we decided to not implement in ZBRD a few months
well,
ago.
that's the thing because for ZBRD it doesn't make sense because like the concept of being fully notified only makes sense if you have things to notify, which it works in Zcash because it's all internal. So what we effectively are after is the equivalence of this. Yeah, so you'll see. Yeah, this is the relevant bit in Zcash that is handling it. Let me just paste the link here. That's in Zcash's like sync loop. That's the thing that is going. Okay, the wallet is synchronized up to this particular point. This particular sequence number. So there's no we just hooked it into existing methods that were already being called in Zcash to make it simpler. But for here, I think it would probably make more sense to have a dedicated RPC for a rich only RPC that is used for this purpose. Obviously, if you're working in like testnet and things, you need to be able to tolerate asynchronicity. So we'll just have to deal with that. But for ridge tests specifically, to make the tests more reliable, yeah, we should have something of the same ilk that you can then take the state you expect from Zebra, take some state you expect from Zalay, and just like keep polling, either keep polling or maybe do a long poll, maybe until the Zalay state matches what you're waiting on.
So there are basically two ways to do this. There's to use sequence numbers like Zcash does, or there's a barrier approach. So if you think about memory coherence in multiprocessor systems, they usually have a barrier instruction that says all of the operations that were initiated before the barrier, all of their effects should have happened by the time you get past the barrier. And that's usually easier to program with, I think. So I don't know whether the sequence number thing allows more pipelining, but at the cost of complexity.
Yeah, so the problem with the sequence number issue here is that we can't actually generate those easily. That worked in Zcash.
Right, yeah.
Sequencing two threads effectively within the same process, and so we could very carefully, like we had to be very careful in updating those to not reintroduce the cross-thread blocking side channel that was being used for that exploit. Here we don't really have that, so it's probably this would just have to be something that says, okay, as of the time you call, either something that's like, as of the time you called, Zalay is synchronized up to this particular chain tip, or this particular view of the chain, or something where you can say, let me know once you are viewing this particular view of the chain. Then there's secondarily the question of how much of that view of the chain have you scanned? And that's a different question, which I think also is relevant here. Which gets into like, at the moment, this is the like sync percentages and things that ideally we don't need a sync percentage logic here because normally because it's meant to be a steady state keeping up. However, there will be cases like when you import a new key and you have to go back and rescan older blocks to find stuff there. That's going to need to be handled in some way. Yeah, let's talk offline further about this and figure out what the right usable thing here is.
Aria?
There's a ping RPC method in Zcash that, when called, sends a ping message to all of Zcash peers. And then if you call the get peer info method right after, that method then returns information about the latency that, like the measured latency of all Zcash peers. I wonder if that's because Zcash doesn't have like a heartbeat task, or if it's okay for Zebra to omit that RPC method and just always measure the latency on ping requests. so that when you call get peer info, it returns like the last heartbeat intervals ping rather than sending out a message to all requests when the RPC is called. Or yeah, what does Zcash do there? Does it have the heartbeat task?
Would have
That's
to.
a different issue,
So,
by the way.
because again,
I think
the ping
so.
stuff all the ping logic all comes from Bitcoin.
Yes.
Like all of these, most of the questions you're asking, the answer is why does Zcash have it? Because Bitcoin had it. So you'd need to look at the motivations that they had there. There is like logic within like peer management that is keeping track of things, but I don't know if it. I doubt it's doing any sort of like measuring latencies and things like that, ping times or whatever, because it probably was just like, this was probably just something that was added for debugging purposes. In fact, I can find it.
I would
12
think so,
years ago. So yeah, the 12 years ago in PR 2937 upstream, ping and pong were handed, and the only purpose of that, when those were added, that was also when the ping time and ping wait fields were added to get peer info. So those fields were not present prior to explicit ping and pong being used. So I would argue that the ping time and ping wait fields should probably not be filled if you're not implementing support for pinging.
I mean, so there have also been kind of side channel attacks based on ping, and they weren't only dependent on ping. There were other ways to get the similar side channel information, but honestly, methods like that make a side channel attacker's life easier. So yeah, I'm fully in support of not implementing them.
Okay, so we may not need them, and if we add them, it could actually introduce a security vulnerability, so we probably don't want to add them.
Well, the question here is about whether you have handling. The specific question here is whether you have handling of the Pong message. Generating pings is just like that's you're already assuming that your local RPC is trusted to some degree, although maybe that trust assumption is a bit less in Zebra because you don't have a wallet. But the main question on from a security perspective is the fact that is the existence of handling pings and responding to pongs at the network layer.
I see.
Alfredo?
I don't know what Bitcoin does on things on that ilk.
Yeah, so but getting back to the other issue about the sync, I think that for the specific case of this test, some RPC method that returns what's Salad best chain and where is this in the scanning process should be enough because you can poll on that. The problem right now is that you don't have anything to poll on with unless you go after the logs, but yeah, that's harder for sure.
Yeah, no.
So I was wondering if I could introduce an RPC method to do that.
Yeah, there should definitely be an RPC method that lets in the same vein as get blockchain info, but not get blockchain info, but a similar one that is like, it's also not get wallet info, because again, the get wallet info from Zcash, therefore from Bitcoin, existed in the context of the wallet is on the same node as the same process as the node, so you can just call get blockchain info to get the node state. So this would be some sort of separate RPC, different from any existing one, so we can shape it exactly as we want.
And this would be reg test only, would it? Because again, I'm a little bit concerned about.
It may be beneficial to allow just have some sort of essentially a health API or some sort of what is the state?
Yeah.
Is the node currently healthy? And healthy to me would mean it's fully synchronized. It's keeping up with the chain tip. Like we're not experiencing network load. Like if sandblasting were to happen again for whatever reason, and we were not able to keep up on this particular machine, like if there's too few CPU cores or memory or whatever, if we're not able to keep up with the rate of block scanning and we start to get lag behind the chain tip, that would be like a sign of poor health or network weather. So that kind of API is, I think, what I'm thinking about. And then within that, there might be ridge test specific, so ridge test only fields that allow for like much closer synchronization potentially for testing purposes. But I can see the benefit of a more general, like, network state, nodes, like, wallet status, but like wallet sync status or something.
Yeah, so Zebra added some health checks RPC method just for that. So when it's ready, it returns that. And yeah, that's, I guess, is useful for the mainnet. And the rectest can just pull on that, and if it is behind, can keep doing until it gets in a position.
Which is fine because
you
we
can
control
continue with the test.
Yeah, we control the network there, so we know that the chain won't advance ahead of while we're waiting for the wallets to catch up. So that would be fine. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. We can follow offline. Maybe we can end up opening an issue in Salad to.
Yeah, it'd be good to open an issue to plan out what we're actually going to put in that. Yes.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah, cheers.
Thank you, guys. Any other topics for open discussion? Dara, Emma, your hand's still up? Maybe by accident? Yep. Cool. Thank you. Let me just check the chat. Okay, last call for open discussion topics. Okay. Thank you all for joining. The next Arborist call will be on November 13th at the 1500 UTC time slot. Thanks, everybody.
Bye. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks, son.
Bye, everyone.